So I thought it would be fun to start this episode with some celebrations. You know how most coaches like start a call where they share celebrations, share wins for the week?
I did not know that it was most coaches. Is that a documented fact?
I don't know if it's documented, but like a lot of the coaches I've ever worked with and you and me, that's how I like to start things off because it's always nice to, share something positive that's going on, something cool, something exciting, something you're looking forward to,
Yeah, I
right?
have a celebration.
Do you? I do
Yeah,
too. I do too.
for weeks I've been trying to find Flamin' Hot Doritos, which is a very specific flavor
Mm.
of Doritos. They've been sold out everywhere.
Yeah.
Finally found some.
Wow. I thought you were going to
Yeah,
say Flamin' Hot Cheetos.
no, no. Ugh, ugh. Actually,
Oh,
I
you
don't know
don't
that.
like them?
Those might be good. I don't know. But
Yeah,
right
they're
now I'm
good.
on this Flamin' Hot Doritos.
Okay.
I had some today.
Yum. I'm gonna have
Yeah,
to see if we have any of those at my local
I
grocery
bet you
store.
won't. They're
Yeah.
hard to come by, Banks.
Okay. Have you had Takis before? The Fuego Takis?
No, I don't
Oh,
believe so because I don't know what that is.
okay. It's also a very hot. They're almost like Doritos that are rolled up. They're
Okay.
really good and so
Talkies.
addictive. Yeah, T
There you
A
go.
K I.
Oh,
The
okay.
only
Yeah.
flavor that is
I've
good is Fuego.
Fuego. Yeah, I'm looking at, I've pulled them up in my archives,
Hmm.
which is what I call the internet. And I've seen this package before, but I don't believe, well, actually, this package looks familiar to me, but I don't believe I've eaten these. So perhaps I will try
Give them a try
these.
and let me know what you think.
Is it pronounced Takis? It's Takis. It could be Takis.
No, they're called Takis because I call them Takis just to bother my children. They're always like, "Mom, they're
Oh, so the youth,
Takis."
this is a product that the youth are familiar.
Yes, very much so. Yeah. Hmm.
Very good. Okay.
They're the
Uh,
kind of thing that you eat and like you keep eating them, and then when you stop, that's when the heat kicks in, and you're like, "Oh my God, that's hot."
wow. That's
Hmm.
hot. All right.
Yeah.
Um,
Anyway,
cool.
so those are not the celebrations that we were really going to be talking about today, right?
I guess.
Yeah. We're celebrating having our best revenue months ever
Yeah,
individually. You had your best revenue month in January 2024, and I had mine in January 2024. And
that is correct. We both happen to have record-breaking revenue months at the same time in January 2024. And we should clarify for everybody listening, in case you don't realize this, Alana Banks and I have separate and distinct companies.
yes,
We don't. There's no crossover between our companies or our books, other than the fact that we collaborate on this podcast and we're good friends.
yeah,
But Alana has her offers and her clients. I have my offers and my clients, and they're separate things.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But clearly, our accountability rubbed off on each other because we both had our highest revenue months.
Is that what we're saying it was? Our mutual accountability from doing the podcast?
Why not? I mean, we
Sure.
can say anything, can't we?
It's our podcast. It's our businesses. We can just be like, yeah, it's
I
all
mean,
that
I don't
extra
think it's a
vitamin D.
coincidence. I don't think
Yeah.
it's a coincidence.
Okay.
Um, okay. So as a result, we're gonna talk about it on the podcast this week about having had our best revenue months and why we think that happened for us and maybe what we did. I don't know. We haven't really kind of decided exactly what we're going to talk about, but it's just going to unfold um, as
Well,
we go.
I think the thought was we both had our highest revenue months ever in January 2024.
Mhm.
Let's talk about what we did that we believe
Yes.
has led us to this spot for the benefit of the listeners, in case they can hear. our experience in the last couple of months and say, oh, that makes sense. Let me do that too. And maybe hit a new revenue high for themselves. I think that's my dream.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, there we go. I actually just incidentally got a message today from a follower on Instagram saying, hey, how come you haven't posted much lately on Instagram?
Mm,
And I used to be and will still be. I've just been kind of on a slight pause on Instagram posting. But in terms, like I've been posting sporadically stories on Instagram for the last while, but I haven't done an actual Instagram post or reel since December, right?
hmm
And so usually when you see a coach do that, it means they've kind of like they're taking one of these many unannounced hiatuses from business that coaches tend to take. But that's not what has happened. I've actually just been so busy with clients and my other marketing initiatives outside of Instagram that it's taken my attention away from that particular platform.
hmm
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, no, I was wondering the same thing because I was like, oh, Ryan's up and posting. And
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
I thought, oh, I wonder if this is like some strategic thing.
It's no, not really. Not. I mean, I have been highly strategic for the last couple of months, but like intentionally not posting on Instagram specifically has not been part of that strategy. It's just really that I've gone all in on expanding my community and advancing what I call my movement, which happens to be hosted in a private Facebook group. So
Mhm.
all my kind of posting effort has been going to the mission and movement group on Facebook. And I just didn't have the bandwidth to keep up with Instagram for a little bit. This has been temporary. It's gonna, you know, now that things are more established in the Facebook group and more consistent over there, I'm gonna get back on the Instagram bandwagon.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's not that you're not showing up on social media. You are because you're showing up in your groups, right? On
Yeah.
Facebook. You're just not using Instagram as like a way to attract clients at the moment.
Well, I mean, it's still there. It's not like I, took the
Yeah,
account
no,
down.
it's still there, but I mean like new content that's like refreshed and
Yeah.
like people
Yeah.
can still find you, yeah, through Instagram.
Yeah. But I mean, that's part of the answer of what has led me to what I believe has led me to one of my highest revenue months ever on in my business. It's because I diverted a good amount of my sort of marketing and business energy to this highly engaged audience that I grew in this one specific context, and it's been highly effective.
Yeah,
Yeah,
clearly. That's awesome.
yeah,
And I've done the complete opposite of that, which is, I've been showing up very consistently, providing high value content and selling every single day. So, in addition to getting really clear on, what I have to offer and just offering that one thing, being very specific about what I am offering, I've just been like using my Instagram platform as like a way to attract new clients, new people into my world. And before Christmas, I was celebrating this sort of like explosion in terms of growing my community. So because I had that, I really wanted to take advantage, right, of all these new eyeballs on my work. And so I made it a priority to put my effort into creating more of that type of content, which was, sharing techniques and tips and strategies where, people could get a quick win,
yeah,
and really like see the value of my work. So that's what I believe has helped me get to having one of my best revenue months because I've been really showing up consistently, creating high quality content and, answering questions, responding to direct messages promptly, um, responding to comments. just really being there. And that's as a result, I've been spending a lot more time on my phone than I probably ever have, but it's turned into clients, lots of new opportunities, and my highest revenue month. So,
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting because even though I diverted my energy away from Instagram, unlike you, I have not been. It's not like I like because I was posting pretty much every day on Instagram, Monday to Friday, or 5 days a week.
yeah,
Uh, but I didn't take those numbers over to my private community because in a private community, the shelf life of the content that you do create is significantly greater, almost indefinite if you manage the community properly, versus the shelf life of content that you create in general social media land, right? Like a really good piece of content on social media, it'll see 90% of its exposure in the first couple of days from on average,
yeah,
and then slowly fade into the background. But when you have a private community, and I host my free private community on Facebook in a Facebook group, if I post a piece of content in there, um, it keeps getting kind of sustained exposure and views and consumption as long as I leave it in the group. And it does take a little bit of management to be able to do that. So anyway, it's a long story short. I'm posting way less and seeing way more traction. And I love that you're kind of doing the opposite of that. You're posting hyper consistently and seeing way more traction because, and I've said this before, there is no black or white when it comes to business. There's no, this is the right way and that's the wrong way. This is the wrong way and that's the right way. Every way is the right way when you execute it properly. Alana's
yeah,
strategy is working for her because she's executing on it properly. My strategy has been working for me because I'm executing it properly, right? And on the flip side, are there people who sort of like Alana post consistently but don't see results? Certainly, because they're not executing in a way that gets results. Are there people who post less in a private community the way I'm seeing tremendous results with right now, and then they don't get results? A lot of those
yeah,
people. Most people who have private communities don't get great results
yeah,
because the devil is in the details. The devil is in the details, and so is the profit. So
yeah,
is the revenue. You
yeah.
know?
It's so true. Yeah, because like for example, I have a Facebook commute or group that I started like in the fall, but I haven't been keeping up with it because actually right when I started it is when I exploded on Instagram. And so I was like, "Oh, I'm going to actually put all my effort into Instagram and I'm just going to like shelf this group that I created, which I will come back to." But I just saw that there was more opportunity in my Instagram and what was happening over there. So why would I, um, ignore that if you know what I mean? Like if I had been so steadfast in like, no, I need to just do this group and ignored the fact that like things were happening for me on Instagram, the results would have been much different probably. Right.
Yeah.
So it's just like, I think it's important that you pour gas on what's working for you and what feels natural and what feels sustainable and where you're having the most fun too,
Yeah.
because then that's going to produce the results that you're wanting.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree.
Cool.
Cool. I love it. All right. So episode done. There we go.
Oh, well, I have a couple more points to share. I don't know about you.
Yeah. Okay. We can talk a little bit longer.
Yeah, a little bit longer.
Why don't we give like our biggest tips?
Okay.
What's your biggest one or two things that I think this really made a big difference in the last couple of months that led to your big
Yeah,
revenue in
I
January.
think, okay, number one, getting crystal clear on what I'm offering and only offering one thing.
Yeah.
Like I got very crystal clear on the fact that I wanted to offer breakthroughs, NLP breakthroughs. I knew exactly what that offer was. I knew exactly what the price was. I knew exactly what the result was going to be. And I also gave myself permission to just offer this one thing. So when I showed up on Instagram, I knew my job for that day was to offer, like, talk about the breakthrough, create a piece of content that was in alignment with what it was I was offering, talk to the type of, ideal client that I wanted to be bringing in. It just made everything easy. That would be my biggest tip, because prior to that, I was kind of all over the place. Like, I had a bunch of different things that I was offering, and so it wasn't clear to the people who were following me like what they could buy from me.
Yeah.
Whereas now, or like basically for all of January and the end of December, I was just selling the breakthrough on my stories every day. I was selling and talking about it.
Yeah.
So I think for me, that was like the biggest change in terms of like how I was doing things before to now.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I mean, I'm booked, like I'm booking for March already, which is crazy. And like February just started.
Yeah. Good.
So,
I think that is something that a lot of people really underestimate is that clarity in your offer with both within your own mind and within your content. Like I've got a new group of people coming through my Mission Accelerator, which is my premium business coaching program right now. And number one priority, first thing we're working on is getting their niche super clear in their mind and
mhm,
what is the result that they offer. And um, I think the big aha that a lot of people are having is like we're going through these exercises together to get them clarity on their niche. And there's all these other little things clouding their judgment when it comes to their niche. Like at the end of the day, the niche is who do you help and what is the result that you get them?
mhm,
And if you can't answer that in one or two simple sentences, ladies and gentlemen in the audience, you may not have clarity on who you help or what the result is you offer. And like
mhm.
Alana's saying, when you get that clarity, it becomes really easy
Yeah,
to message your offer and to draw in the people that want it.
yeah, totally. Like that's exactly what happened for me. And the best thing was I sat down with a friend who is a strategic planner at the beginning of January. And, she had me kind of like dump out everything that I have to offer. And then she's like, okay, which one is bringing in the most money for you right now? And I said the breakthrough. And she was like, okay, from January, February, March, you're only focusing on the breakthrough. She's like, all this other stuff, like palm reading and, other things that I like sexual freedom hypnosis and other things. She was like, put that aside. Like, these are all great. And you're not, they weren't a waste of time, but you're not offering those right now. You're just going to focus on, and honestly, it felt like I took off a backpack that weighed 100 pounds
Mm,
because it was like she gave me permission, the permission that I needed to just be like, okay, I'm just going to focus on this one thing. And when there may be people listening who are like multi passionate, multi talented, like have a lot of things or ideas and they just want to like put them out there because that's the kind of person that I am. When someone gives you permission to just focus on one thing, it's like such a light bulb moment, or at least
yeah.
it was for me. Because I was like, you're right. I can just focus on this one thing.
Yeah.
And it just took all the pressure off. And then it allowed me to like settle my mind too. Because I was always kind of thinking, okay, well, what I need to create a piece of content that's like about palm reading, but then like I want to also talk about the breakthrough. So if I'm confused in my mind, then the people watching me are going to be like, what the hell does this girl have to offer? Like one
What
day
is
she's
this?
talking to,
What is this lady selling? Why does she want to look at my hands? What is
right?
this? What kind of weirdo is this? Why does she have so many followers? What are these people seeing?
Yeah. So yeah, for
Yeah,
me,
exactly.
exactly. For
Um,
me, it was getting really crystal clear on, what I had to offer. And when you say niche too, I think that's like a scary word. At least it's always been a scary word for me because I'm like, niche, what does that mean? Like I'm serving women between the ages of like 36 and 45 and who have brown hair, like that's where my mind goes when I hear the word niche.
Yeah.
Um, but when I discovered that niche could also mean this, my breakthrough, right?
Yeah.
And what is the result that I offer? And who might those people be who would want to have a breakthrough? What kind of problems would they be having? That's how it also got really clear for me because I was just like, yeah, I just knew.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's a big breakthrough for a lot of people. Like, with my clients now, in the program, I put this little post inside of our private clients Facebook group being like, hey everyone, here's my niche. I help hypnotherapists and NLP people to get more clients. And the part where we get them more clients, that's actually the result. Right. And then my
Yeah.
challenge to them was like, what's yours? Because everybody, like, just like you just said, people hear the word niche and they're like, okay, my ideal client avatar and the average demographics of the people who would generally invest in this type of personal development. And there's like this whole like explosion of information in their brain.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, 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 no. Just like, who do you help in like 2 words? And
Mm-hmm.
what's the result? It's like, well, I help people who have anxiety to not have
Not
anxiety
having, yeah.
anymore, Like start there, right? And save all that other stuff for like your speech for your TED talk.
Yeah. It's true. Yeah. It seems so simple. And this is the thing, right? Is like sometimes the most basic things are so overlooked,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I would say that's my big tip. And I have one more, but do you want to give your big tip?
My big tip is, I think when it comes to like we're talking about revenue, we're talking about
Yeah.
ultimately client attraction here. Find a method of client attraction that you really, really believe works, that you've
Hmm.
seen the evidence, other people are doing it this way, and then stick with that until you make it work for you also, right?
Hmm.
Like um, right up until basically the end of last year, I was still, even me, and I've been bringing in good revenue for years, but I was still kind of like, um, having my foot in, 2 camps or 3 camps when it came to marketing, and it was working for me. But when I accepted the risk of no longer sort of hedging my bet, and I was like, okay, there's this one way of growing my business that I fully believe will work because I've seen the evidence. I've seen other people be hyper successful. I've tested all of this. It's like I know it. What will happen if I just go all in and make it really work for me and get 100% of the potential results? Well, and here we are. That was before, now it's after. Turns out what happened when I did that. And that again goes back to like, I believed in it so much that I literally stopped posting on Instagram, which historically has been, the source of 50% or more of my revenue, right?
Hmm.
Um, and here I am now when all is said and done, and I've had my highest revenue month ever because I made that decision.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like that. I think that that also leads to just um cleaning up your own beliefs about like what works too. You know what I mean? Like and surrendering to um doing it like we were talking about this before we got on recording, but like just sort of like surrendering to the way someone else is doing it that is working for them and then just like modeling that and being okay with that and not, not trying to continue doing what you were doing that wasn't working the way you like to the point that you were making what you made this past month, right? Like I
Yeah.
feel like you surrendered to a new belief. Like if you had stuck to your guns and been like, no, because I'm getting, a lot of my revenue from Instagram and you kept, splitting your time and efforts, you probably wouldn't have had the revenue month that you had in January. But because you decided and went all in on this other belief and you trusted it and you really believed in it, it worked for you.
Yeah. Yeah. I would agree. I heard a business coach must have been a year ago, say the thing that prevents people from getting the results when they invest in business coaching is that um, they either don't understand the plan that they're about to execute, or they don't believe fully in it,
Hmm.
or a combination of both. But when you fully understand your marketing plan and you believe in it because you've sought out the evidence to know that it does work, and then you execute on it, you're unstoppable, right? But if any of those pieces are not there, if you're wavering,
Hmm.
what happens is you stop 3 feet from the gold, right? Like you're
Yeah.
doing all the doing, and the results are almost never immediate. And it's like because you don't have that certainty that yes, I'm on the right track, which sometimes only comes with supervision and from a good mentor or coach.
Yeah.
You give up like right before
Yeah.
you make, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think on top of that too, like the other big point I was going to say, or big tip, is having full congruence in what you have to offer. Like really believing, living it and believing it. Like I had such a huge outcome from my breakthrough, from my own personal breakthrough, that pitching this as what I'm offering now is just like I can't I like because I believe in it so much, people can feel that energy. Do you know what I mean? So it's not necessarily the words I'm using and what I'm typing up and like what I'm writing about, but when I'm talking about it, people can feel how strongly I believe in the results that are produced by going through this process, that they're like, I want that. I want that too. Like, I want to feel that way or like emit that kind of energy.
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes sense, but it's just like,
It's yeah, it's congruence and it's conviction in your product. You
yeah,
know?
like I believe in it so much. And as a result, my clients are getting such great results as well that it's just like inevitable that I'm going to be able to sell it. Whereas
Yeah.
before, when I was selling things, I didn't have that same congruence. Like I wasn't fully uh, in integrity, I guess. Because even some of my closer friends are just like, so everything has changed about the way that you're like communicating what you have to offer now,
Yeah.
right? And it's just like I really believe you, whereas before there was like something was missing, and not that they could really put their finger on what it was, but there was something that wasn't there,
Yeah.
right? And you know that like subconsciously we're kind of like ticking all these boxes when we're being sold to, right?
Yeah.
And so if there's something off, then it's going to be a no, right?
Yeah.
So
Absolutely. Yeah.
energetically, and I know that it's just like that might sound a bit woo woo, but it's, energy doesn't lie.
That's right. That's right.
People can feel it.
Um,
So,
yeah, you got it. I don't think I will disagree with one little thing you said, and it's just a wording thing.
mhm.
You kind of use the term out of integrity. I don't think you were ever out of integrity. I don't think you've ever tried to sell anything that you don't believe in.
Okay,
It's
yeah.
just that I think this is my perception, right? But it's just that you seem to have like extreme conviction now, which maybe you didn't have
Yes.
extreme conviction with some of your previous offers.
Yeah. Well, because there wasn't the full congruence. Maybe there was like
Yeah.
90% congruence before.
Yeah.
Now it's like 100.
Yeah. 110, 1,000, a
Yeah.
million percent.
Like no one could convince me otherwise that this doesn't work. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like I can come at you from any angle.
I come at you like a spider monkey. Do you remember that from that movie, Talladega Nights, with
No, I mean I've
uh
seen that movie, but I don't remember that.
it's the so that's the Will Ferrell, and he's the
Mhm.
NASCAR driver, right?
Oh
And
yeah.
he's got those two step kids, and then there's the grandfather, and those two step kids are awful.
Yeah.
And they're like talking to the grandfather, and one of them's like, "I'll come at you like a spider monkey." Like, oh, that was a very absurd and funny movie.
Mm.
Okay, we got to wrap it up. We're almost out
Yeah.
of time.
I think we're
Last
I think we're
thoughts,
done,
last
no?
tips. I think we're done. Yeah, I would say, I
Yeah,
don't
just
know.
to like summarize, get crystal
Yeah,
clear on what you're offering, show up on wherever you need to show up to sell it. You know, wherever you're attracting clients, show up there consistently and sell it. Could be a Facebook group, it could be your Instagram, it could be Facebook, could be LinkedIn, whatever it is. And then, get behind the offer. Like, 100% believe in the results that you have to offer.
yeah, fully agree with you on that. And get the mentorship, get the coaching, get the answer. Doesn't need to be from
Yeah.
Alana or I, but
Yeah.
necessarily, unless you want to work
No.
with us. But um, that's, there's this cliche expression, we want to collapse time when we're an
Mm.
entrepreneur. And what that means is generally, something that takes you 12 months to figure out on your own through trial and error will take you 1 month to figure out if you have somebody coaching you who's already done it before.
Yeah.
Um, and so when you factor in what it'll cost you to not get support, it makes often much more sense in terms of an investment of time, money, and energy to just get somebody to help you. And again, I don't love these cliches, but to collapse time, it really is true.
It is true. And
Yeah.
I would say the other thing is like you have to put in the work. Like I
Yeah.
had my best revenue month ever. But I also worked for it,
Yeah.
and I wouldn't say like I broke my back working. Like I wasn't just like I'm not burnt out or anything like that. But I was having conversations with people. I was responding to messages. Like I was getting up every day and posting content and having like, you know what I mean? Like I was working for the sales
Yeah.
and I was closing the sales and like I wasn't just sitting back and letting people come to me.
Yeah.
I think is
Yeah.
another really important thing to mention because like I was working hard, but
Definitely.
hardly working.
That's a whole other episode,
Yeah,
right?
it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
Okay.
Cool. All right.
So
Well,
that's
let's
it.
get a
Bye.
get a
Yeah.
breakthrough, everybody.
Yeah. Get a breakthrough. Join the
Good.
Simple Social Sanctuary.
Have a eat a plum. They're good for you.
Okay.
Okay. Hey, bye
Bye.
everyone.